need your socks! Hey!
The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast, now streaming on all major podcast platforms. A Till Valhalla Project ambassador. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a My Veteran Story with Marine veteran Ty Sutherland. But before we get into the podcast, are you enjoying the show? Then make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check it out, see what we're all about. And go in there. If you can help support us and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear, it'd be much appreciated. There's a couple ways you can do that. We do have a merchandise tab. You can go in and get your cool merchandise. We have a patron tab that you can go in and do a monthly donation, or you can do a one-time donation. But anyway, you can help us, would be much appreciated. And to big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project and all the amazing work that they do. If you don't know anything about them, go to their website. It's tillvalhallaproject.com. Go check them out, see what they're all about, and if you can help them out, please do so.
Ton Tavern, birthplace of the Corps. We as Marines hold this history close to our hearts. Wouldn't it be spectacular if the establishment was born again? The Ton Legacy Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3, is taking the task and is looking to the Marines to once again save the day. Help the Lost Art podcast in raising funds to help get the Ton built once again, only 100 yards from the original establishment in Philadelphia. We are looking for Marines to donate $25, representing the upcoming 250th birthday of the Corps. Spread the message and help establish the Ton, a place for Marine brethren to gather and remember our historic beginning. Go to the Lost Art GoFundMe page and donate today. The Ton Legacy Foundation, reestablishing our birthplace.
All right, with that, I got Ty. Ty, how you doing?
I'm doing real good. How you doing?
Shoot, I'm great. I'm great. You're still here. Tornado didn't get you. I mean, we're doing good.
Still here, alive out of spite, as they say.
That's right. Alive out of spite. That's awesome. Well, hey, man, I guess we can go ahead and get into it and just kind of start at the beginning, like where you grew up, and then how did you get get drawn into military service?
So the family business more than anything is how I got drawn in. Hold on. My dog is gnawing on something right here by the dang mic. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, Navy brat. My entire family was Navy. So I knew Navy was the plan until senior year of high school, actually.
Oh, wow.
I was in ROTC and did all that stuff. I was small. I was the runt of the litter, so I wasn't allowed to do contact sports. So I was a gymnast and things like that, which all led me to ended up joining the Marines at 17, 2 days after high school graduation, shipped out.
Nice.
Turned 18 like 3 weeks before the Crucible.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. And just, I went to the recruiter with a buddy of mine who was going in the Marines. He had to get something from his recruiter. And I just realized, like, we started talking, and it wasn't even recruiter tricks. He was just telling me about what would be going on if I were to join the Marines. And it all just sounded better. I didn't really want to go down the same exact road my father and my oldest brother went down, and of course countless uncles and grandfathers and whatever. So every Thanksgiving was, oh my God, I just did this and I got that score on this certification, and just shit, I did that shit 30 years ago. I just got shit. I taught that class. And it'd been cool to pave my own path, and I did. And I'm the only Marine in the entire family tree.
That's right. That's good.
Yeah, they got real mad when I went ground option.
Oh, really?
But yeah, choose your fate. Or choose your rate, choose your fate was what my dad used to say. But he was a Navy recruiter.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Wow. So in what year was that, you said? Sorry.
I didn't. I missed it. 2007, I graduated high school.
Okay, 2007.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then kind of walk me through, obviously your family probably a little worried that you're going into the Marine Corps instead of the Navy. But how was that going to boot camp and all that type of stuff? And then, how did your family react like once graduation came along?
Hmm. Well, their initial beef with me going to the Marine Corps or the military in general was I was a wildly picky eater, and they couldn't get me to consume a lot of things. I was peanut butter and jelly
Yeah,
till I was like 12. So
nice.
they were just worried that I'd starve to death and die, which is hilarious in the grand scheme because I was just like, look, when it's not an option, I'll eat it. I don't care. Like, and I didn't know that for a fact, but I knew that like 'cause I was 17. Um, but once I went, it was good. Everyone ended up graduation, big pride, all that good stuff. But yeah, they were all super worried that I basically was gonna go in skinny and come out a twig.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
'Cause I was
Wow.
underweight by a lot anyways. I was always a little skinny dude. So yeah, they were
Yeah. Now, what was your impression of boot camp and everything that happened? I mean, was it a good experience for you?
overall, I mean, boot camp sucks when you're going through it.
Yeah.
But it ends up being the easiest thing you ever did in your career. When you look back on it, you're just like, oh. I mean, some guys had it worse or different because I was raised getting yelled at when you messed up,
Mhm. Yeah.
and if you messed up bad enough, getting tossed around a little bit. I'm not a
Hmm.
battered child by any stretch of the imagination, but we got rapped on a couple times, and every single time we earned it. I guarantee it. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so the getting yelled at and the mind games of it all would be what people would have the most issue with, I imagine.
Right. Yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
3 months of getting screamed at, and I'm like, 17 years, I got this.
What's another 3 months?
Yeah, like I care about what my father feels about me. Like I don't know
Yeah.
these dudes from Adam, so
That's a good point.
if
Very
they
good
hate
point.
my gut, I want them to let me pass. I don't want them to like me as a person.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the
Okay.
ROTC, I couldn't hide. I ended up being a squad leader and a few other things because I could march.
Oh,
I
yeah.
did drill team and all the ROTC stuff.
Right.
So I didn't, well, why would you want to? But I didn't dumb
Yeah.
down my marching when everyone else was learning how.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I got noticed. So I was a squad leader for the majority of it,
Okay.
which I love getting blamed for everyone else's problems.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah, the shortest guy in your squad just fucked up, and I'm like, damn it. The only
Yeah.
reason I'm this squad leader is because I'm shorter than that guy. It's all height order BS.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, good times.
Yeah.
So, was there anything that like kind of stood out to you in boot camp?
I mean, I liked the Marine Corps. Again, looking back on it now,
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
how the Marine Corps handles business.
Mhm.
And not because I'm one, but I've noticed every other militaries or branches, basic trainings are more or less, let's get you to your job. The end goal
Yeah,
is to be a trained this who's an airman,
right.
or whatever else, or soldier. And our whole 3 months was not learn combat, learn this, learn your job, learn that. It was, we're going to run you into the damn ground and rebuild you how we like it because you're going to wear my uniform, damn it. And you have to
Yeah,
earn that part. So the whole,
right.
I like that about us. I don't care that it's the longest or any of that stuff. Just the fact that it's, you have to earn it all before you don't get called Marine or get to say I until the last like week.
Yeah. True. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, the I liked that about it, that no one was worried about what you were gonna be, just the fact that
Right.
if you earned it, you're gonna be a Marine.
Right, right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you
You
move
know,
on to your combat school or ITB or any of the other crap. So
right. One of the things that I find interesting is I still I won't say I as often. I'll say we or
mhm.
something like that. And I don't know why I do that. Did I just go sideways on you?
No, no, no,
I
you're
was
good.
getting a
It
was
flickered.
getting a
It did so.
call. I don't know what the heck happened there. Anyways, so I still, I'll say we, like whenever I'm talking about the podcast and stuff, I say we and da da da. It's me. I'm pretty much the only guy doing everything,
The
but I
royal
still do
we.
that. Yeah. So I don't
Yeah,
know. It's
that
it's just one of those things.
well, and it's funny that ends up being from I do that because I was married for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And how I stopped referring to myself as I or me or her as she. And it was
Mm-hmm.
just yo yeah I'll talk to her, we'll figure it out, we'll see if we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And still, even though 4 years we've been done, but anything to do with the kids, it's always we this we
Yeah.
that, because I'm not making any of these decisions without her.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Very true.
yeah.
Very true. I like that. Well, all right. Well, talk me. So did you go home on boot leave and stuff like that?
Yeah, I had the 10-day thing.
10 day.
I don't remember. There's a reason why some guys didn't. I think it was just a timing thing. But yeah, I had my 10 days leave and got to go home. Mine ended up being I had to say goodbye to my grandmother. She got
Ooh.
sick with colon cancer halfway through boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
And so the the next time I saw her was she was whittled away to dang near nothing,
No
and none
kidding.
of her makeup and hair done, and it was time to say goodbye, really. And then she didn't it was first or second weekend of SOI
Oh,
when
wow.
she passed. So I mean, boot leave was I just brought it way down. I'm a wildly positive person. But and she's a wonderful lady. Miss her all the time. But and I would say I'll make some jambalaya this week and then we'll be fine.
There you go. There you go.
For Passed the Conrad, but was born a Boudreaux. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, Baton Rouge. I'm a quarter coon ass. I didn't lose that part of me. Uh, I lost some of the British and the Irish, I think.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny.
No, so sorry. It's funny. I haven't thought about post boot camp leave in a while.
Yeah.
It was cool. So my brother, again, I'm there. My oldest brothers are 18 months apart from each other, and I'm 4 and 3 years younger than them. And
Okay.
they were middle brother joined the army right before I went to boot camp. He tried life after high school and failed,
Yeah.
and then went in the army. So I had to go to his boot camp graduation in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like
Oklahoma, baby. That's where I'm
oh,
at right now, actually. And not in Fort Sill, but I'm in Oklahoma.
I was gonna say I've been to Lawton, Oklahoma, and the rest of it,
Yeah.
like if any of the rest of it's like that, I'm so sorry. Like, but
No,
I
not
sure
all
hope
of it
none of
is.
it's like
Not
Lawton.
all of it.
Yeah,
Eastern Oklahoma is actually really nice. It's the
yeah,
foothills of the Ozarks, a lot of hills, rolling hills, that type of stuff, a lot of trees, lakes, and it's
yeah.
a beautiful area.
Pretty nature,
Uh,
not just
yeah,
endless massage parlors and check cashing places and pawn shops and barber
that's correct.
shops.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that was
But
it. That out there, that's about it. You're right.
yeah. Most military bases, for the record, that's not
Yeah.
nothing to
Oh
the
yeah.
Army
Oh
or
yeah.
Fort Sill specifically.
That's true.
Like,
That's
yeah,
true.
the vast majority of Marine or in military bases are like at towns. But
Oh yeah.
so my both my brothers got to be home for my whole 10 days, which was really cool because
Wow.
my oldest brother, Navy, search and rescue swimmer,
Okay.
he was stationed in Atsugi, Japan, and
Oh wow.
he got leave for my graduation. So that was a big surprise when they both showed up
Wow.
because Army was in Fort Polk, Louisiana,
Uh,
and Navy was in Atsugi, Japan, and they both showed up in
wow.
uniform for my graduation, which was super
That
cool.
is cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So we got to hang out and have a little brotherly time. They got in a big fight because alcohol, and I got McDonald's. And at the time, the movie I needed to see, the whole time I was at boot camp, I was like, this movie, I need to get it. The moment I get home, I'm buying it and watching it. 300.
Oh yeah.
Oh 07. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It was good. It was a good movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was do you listen to country music?
Yeah.
Um, what was it? Chicken Fried came out
Oh
while I
yeah.
was at
Zach
boot camp.
Brown. Yeah.
And This Ain't Nothing was after I got hurt. So it was funny how that worked out.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Loving
Wow.
America, that beautiful Loving America and Where I Come From and Country and Roots song came out while I was at boot camp. And then right around the time I got hurt, This Ain't Nothing by Craig Morgan came out. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, all right. And I got to meet Craig and thank him for that song too, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, isn't correct me if I'm wrong, Craig Morgan, he's the one that went back in the army? Is that
Yes.
who I'm thinking of? Yeah, okay.
Yes. He's reserved still, I think. Still.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, either way, yeah, he was He's a nice dude, but yeah, a soldier.
Yeah, yeah.
Good dude.
Very cool. Man, I like that. What? Hold on.
Yeah,
I had a question a while ago and
shit.
it totally went away because we started talking about Craig Morgan and yeah, sorry about that.
No.
Um,
We can backpedal right through it.
it's
Crap.
okay. Well, I'll think of it and we'll just jump back whenever we
Yeah,
get there.
dude. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. If we hit a tangent and you think of something from earlier, let's go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. All right. So moving forward, then you're going to the School of Infantry there at well, what is that?
Camp
Not
Geiger.
Lejeune, Geiger. That's
It's
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
right.
Outside of. I feel like I'm yelling at you. There we go.
No, you're
Is that
good.
better?
Yeah. No, you're fine.
Okay. Oh, I'm loud as shit in my headphones. Sorry.
Oh, oh.
That might be it. I'm like, God, calm down. I got a big booming voice. It's my parents' fault. But, yes, Camp Geiger. Two
Okay.
months. Doing that there. Um, Dog is doing something over here. Dude, stop. And then it was I went ground option. So it was I
Uh,
signed up for being infantry. I was going to be an 03 something.
right.
And then at the School of Infantry, it's you're kind of in every MOS for the first couple weeks, and then they do MOS
Oh, I
breakdown
see.
where
Hmm.
it's the first week or two. I can't remember. But then they do MOS breakdown where off of your GT score, who they wanted, who needs more, like
Right.
and then sometimes you get a big say in it. And I leaned on mortars pretty hard. I don't know. The whole time we
Okay.
were talking machine gunners, basic riflemen, assaultmen at the time,
Hmm.
and mortarmen were the options there.
Right.
And I had the GT score for any of them except tow gunners wanted me because of my GT score. But I was like, how much math is involved? You'll get real mad that my GT score lied to you if you got the one that math is involved on because 2 plus 2 is jello. Um,
Nice.
and I like the idea of mortars. It sounded like a lot of fun, so I leaned
Yeah.
on mortars real hard and I got it, which was cool. And um, I there was no way of getting Top Gunner because the guy who got it for both the 60s and the 81,
Oh, wow.
which doesn't happen because they're different mechanisms. So
Yeah.
if you're great at one, you're not usually amazing at the other one. But
Holy
yeah, we
cow.
had the same dude got Top Gunner for both.
Wow. Good for
So
him, man.
yeah,
That's
I was a
awesome.
guy they noticed was fast, but definitely not first place.
Dang.
Pierre took us out.
Well, hey, you still have to do the hikes and stuff, but you're hiking with the mortars and everything, right? And you're kind of short in stature. How was that?
I was 5'9" in real life.
Yeah.
Um, which I mean worked. So my build is funny because it's worse now, but I was mostly torso with short legs,
Yeah.
which is exactly what I am now. But
Yeah, yeah.
my father's build, I was built exactly like my father,
Yeah.
which would at no point did I look like a runner, but I was really good at it. I very much
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah, yeah.
running, and could keep up with the best of them. So the carrying the weight was kind of the fun part of it, really.
Oh, wow.
Plus, I technically I wasn't done growing, which is funny because that's what a grown man who's short says. But
Yeah.
I was 20 years old when I got hurt. So sorry, I'm not an emasculated male. My family, the boys in the family were all 5'11" except Navy, and he made it to 6 foot. And
Oh, wow.
not one of them stopped growing until they were 24. Like that
Oh,
for
I
some
see.
freaking
Yeah, okay.
reason, that was when they peaked or whatever.
That's
So
weird that it was 24 when they peak. I mean,
that's a weird
I don't
time
know.
to
It
stop
is.
growing.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not supposed to do that. We're just like everything
Yeah,
else worked out, but we're just not done getting taller yet.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Plus 4 years in the infantry is supposed to take an inch off of your height just to the spinal compression. So
Oh, really?
maybe I wouldn't have made it to 5'10" or 5'11". I don't know. But I think I'd have
Yeah.
maxed out at 5'10" if I had to guess. But
Okay. All right.
that's a funny one where I was like, I wasn't done growing yet. No, I'm a shorter king now. 3 foot
Yeah.
10, motherfucker. Uh,
Yeah.
Oops, sorry if I'm allowed to say that. My
No,
bad.
you can say whatever you want, man. This
All
is
right.
not for kids, so we're
Check,
good.
check. Um, but no, we split it up. Someone had the base plate, someone had the tube, and then
Yeah.
and rounds, and whenever you and especially 60s. So my entire freshman year, My whole
Hmm.
boot year, I was in 60s. I was in Bravo Company doing the 60 millimeter mortars, the smaller ones. So carrying that stuff, that's that ain't nothing.
What?
That's just
Yeah.
another M16 or whatever. The base plate when we're running like that is the little one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then after Iraq, I got sent to well, they knew we were going to Afghanistan after Iraq. Um, and so they crushed all mortarmen into 81s and
Oh,
then trained both systems and 120s, the biggest ones,
wow.
and then spit out everybody either according to what the units wanted and needed or who wanted to go back, basically. And
Oh,
I had
wow.
a very hard time in Bravo Company. So I endeared myself to the staff sergeants of Weapons Company as hard as I
Yeah.
could. Not Brown knows it now, but like I wasn't hiding when I was giving ammo classes or anything like that real quick to the boots. And if
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
asked something, I was answering it confidently and loud. And they were like, you where'd you come from? And I went Florida, like, no, Bravo Company. And they're like, you trying to go back? I was like, fuck no, staffs aren't. And they're like, Roger that. And I was like, and
Oh, that's
I
funny.
got to weapons and I had a better reputation immediately.
Yeah. 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 Wow. Okay. So you went from SY to what unit?
One,
You said
two.
Bra one,
Yeah,
two. Okay.
first Battalion, Second Marines out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Yeah. 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 Which is a fantastic. Oh, I don't know. I enjoyed my time at Lejeune, to be honest with you. It's a beautiful area, lots of fishing, hunting,
Yeah.
those types of things. So when you look at it that way, but the guys that grew up in cities, yeah, they don't like it.
Oh, yeah, most places are what you make it anyways. People hate Fort
Yeah, it's
Drum,
true.
but Fort
Yeah.
Drum, if you like skiing and snow activities, you want to be stationed in Fort Drum.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, it comes down to you like hunting and fishing and redneck shit. So yeah, most places are put like airports in the middle of godforsaken nowhere. So you got land to go play on.
That's right. That's right. So, and then, so your time at 1, 2, you said you deployed with them?
Yeah, twice.
You deployed twice with them. Okay. So, like,
Yes.
let's talk through your experience, like showing up there and, what was it like? You're new to it. Did you get picked on or anything like that instead of starting out, or do you just go in, freaking kicking ass? I mean, what's the
So
deal?
I mean, I was not a boot people were bummed to have.
Okay.
So I was good at my job and I did everything I could to be good at my job, but just like boot camp, you're not going to get everything right because
Yeah.
they're watching you under a microscope. And for the most, I did my best not to let little things or the time I got yelled at because of X, Y, and Z or whatever bog me down.
Right.
Because one, what the hell is that going to accomplish anyways? But two,
Hmm.
we're going to be playing for keeps in
Yeah.
6 months time. So
Hmm.
if I got something wrong, I'd enjoy knowing about it, to be honest with you. So, but
Yeah.
no,
It's
I
important.
was never schmuckatelli. I didn't lose my
Yeah.
rifle or break a buttstock. We had a guy that did that shit. Fell off a Connex
Ooh,
box, broke the buttstock off his M16.
holy cow.
And I was like, like, huh? Um,
How?
I don't know where you
How?
go. I don't know where you go. Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Sorry, one second.
And then, sorry, and so your time, you get there and it's like what, 6 month workup type of thing?
So we got there, it would have been December of '07
Hmm.
after SOI, and then we deployed July 24th-ish
Okay.
of the following year. So yeah, right there. And so boot games, we did the boot games with, I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
there and I had a sergeant who was in charge of the mortar section, and he immediately got moved to a platoon sergeant billet. And we had a lance corporal put in charge, and he was green and he did his absolute best, which was awesome. Um, and he made some mess ups, which we have all eventually learned weren't the right things, and we all learned from each
right.
other. And it was pretty rad because it was lance corporals leading lance corporals for the most part.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I want to say he made corporal before we left. Maybe it was before we got back, but either way,
yeah,
when we got to Iraq, they didn't need mortars. It was '08. It was July '08.
yeah.
It was late in the game, so we ended up doing. I was an 11 for all through Iraq,
No, no kidding.
and a driver. We were right off Route Mobile,
Mm-hmm.
about 45 minutes from Habania.
Okay.
Um, Saclawea, I think, was the area. If you,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're familiar with any of that crap, smack in the fucking middle.
Yeah.
Um, but so for it was first week of combat operations, I was put on mess duty, so I wasn't able to do any of the work that they needed us to do. So I was working with the cooks for the first week.
Okay.
And then when I finally got off of mess duty, no one told me what anything was. They were just like,
Oh wow.
Go get X, Y, and Z from blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know what that is or what that is. Like, and for a minute there, so again, Lance Corporals leading Lance Corporals, and then our sergeant in my squad was from Fast Company.
Okay.
And so he was a sergeant for, we're gonna call it almost no reason,
Yeah.
because Fast gives you a huge bump on your cutting score. Um,
Yeah.
Such a small head
Well,
on
and
such a
you're
big
also
dude.
going out doing something very specific.
Yeah, you're
And
doing SWAT
when you
shit.
come back, when
Yeah.
you come back, you don't know all the infantry tactics, especially if that was your first duty station,
Uh-huh.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty tough.
He was redunk dunk. Couldn't say the word camaraderie or complacency. Fucked him up 3 times in the same sentence. And I was just like, those are 2 words that are drilled into our brain housing group from boot camp to SOI to every workup. Because what does complacency do? It kills. Complacency kills. It's written, it's plastered like murder shit on walls, all deployment. And this grown ass man couldn't say it out loud. And the thing he was mad at me about wasn't my fault. So Iraq was its own crazy thing. It was basically a mental game for me.
Okay.
Because we didn't do much. There was an IED went off on our squad, so I ended up getting a combat action out of it. But it was a waiting game. It was a mind game for me. Because again, late in the game, we were training cops for the most part.
Oh, I
Um,
see. Yeah.
and then eventually trying to stop weapons caches. But the beginning there, when I was put on mess duty. Sorry, this is a long
Hmm.
ass story. Is it all right if
No,
I
you're
just?
good. We got
All right.
all the time you want, man.
No
We're
one
here
asked me
for the
about
long haul.
Iraq, and I was like, oh shit. A lot of this hasn't been talked about in a long time.
That's
So
all
yeah,
good.
I was put on mess duty for the first week. The second week, it was a lot of, hey, what's that? Oh no,
Hmm.
like what's the thing you just asked me for? Slash, where's the place you just told me it is?
Yeah.
Um, Please, someone walk me through steps, and I'm there. But when I was trying to ask clarifying questions,
Hmm.
or if someone was like, Southern, I need you to go do X, Y, and Z, I'd be like, Lance Corporal, I'm on this for Sergeant so and so. I'm on it right after. They viewed that as talking back.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so everyone knows that the boot games are supposed to stop when you get there.
Hmm.
Like it's all supposed to fade away, but I got played boot games the entire time I was in Iraq.
Uh, yeah.
Um, and by the time so shortly after I started combat arms, I think I was there for about a week, doing work. And then we needed more drivers. So they sent
Hmm.
me to Habania to do driving school. So again, I'm out for another week from what these boys are doing.
Right.
But when I get back, I have a set job. I'm only the driver. Like, so
Right.
cool. But they made me change camis right before we left. They made us right 2 days before that. There was a whole no more IDs here. Like you've always done it. We have to put them here in this pocket now. So when I
Mm.
put on fresh camis to go to the fresh base, because Marines can't look like you're on a deployment while you're on a deployment,
Yeah, of course.
I
Yeah.
forgot to get my cat card out of the
Oh,
trap pocket. So I get to
yeah.
Havania wearing a Marine's uniform with a white ass face and an American accent, but there's no proof that I'm not a problem. So I had to radio them. I had to wait a day. They got me my cat card on the next run. So that was the thing that I actually messed up.
Yeah.
But the rest I became the scapegoat for. If something was
Uh,
messed up or something fell over or something broke or there was a hole in security somewhere, it became Southern's fault.
yeah.
And there was a lot of, oh, well, you're gonna run more posts. Like I ran 12 hours, 18 hours of posts a lot. Um,
No kidding.
and then had to drive patrols.
Wow. Yeah, that's not dangerous at all. You
No,
know.
yeah, we only can go 30 mile an hour. What's it matter?
Yeah.
It's not like
Falling
I'm
asleep.
looking
Yeah.
for shit too. Yeah, like I'm not supposed to be looking for stuff to not run over or anything like that. Thank God I wasn't Vic 1. I was Vic
Yeah.
2, thank the good Lord. Um, if you're into that sort of thing. But no, so I ended up getting the biggest shitbag reputation possible in Iraq,
Oh, wow.
basically, to the point that an AMLOC, the Advanced Mortar Leaders course slot that I
Hmm.
had for after deployment was taken from
Hmm.
me almost immediately.
Really?
It got to a point where a team leader in my unit, or sorry, in my squad, put his rifle in my chest and threatened to do it. And then
No kidding.
I ratted him out sounds terrible, but I told the staff sergeant because they were trying to fry my buddy over something that wasn't anything when
Hmm.
homeboy just got off the deck there having threatened my life. So I was like, hey,
Wow.
we're not worried about this right now. Staff sergeant X, Y, and Z just happened. And well, smoking's not allowed on post. And I'm like, I hadn't slept for like 6 days at this point. There was literally I had a week and a week that I did not see my rack. I didn't see the inside of my
Yeah.
hooch specifically before it had a little bit of a turnaround after all of that. But at the end of my hell week,
Hmm.
um, which again, it's so weird complaining about lack of sleep on a deployment. No one sleeps well on deployments. But again, so it sounds like
Yeah,
I'm just a guy bitching about what everyone has to deal with, but literally didn't see the
but
inside of my hooch
there's
for a
more
week.
to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's more
Yeah.
to it. As a leader and you have people under you, it's your responsibility to make sure that they're taken care of, make sure that they get the rest they're supposed to get. So
Troop
when you go
welfare.
out, yeah. So when you go out, they're on
Yeah.
their A game, right?
I trust that his eyes are open
Yeah.
and he's not
Yeah, yeah.
seeing triple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the right towards the end of it, I think it was day 5 or 6, that happened. And again, I'm standing post after not sleeping for 5 or 6 days. So I'm making sure
Yeah.
my eyes are clinically open.
You're not seeing anything, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, making sure I don't look asleep. And then that all happened, and they were trying to fry my buddy for smoking on post. And I was like, fuck that. Rifle was just placed in my chest. I can still feel it through the plate carrier.
yeah.
He was like, and he bitched about dude smoking again. And I was like, hmm? And he stormed off. And I was like, bro, did I tell him what I think I told him? He was like, yep. And did he just bitch at you about smoking and then leave? Yep. I'm like, fucking awesome.
Wow.
Which immediately became the dude who just threatened me relieved the guy I was on post with. And as he's leaving, he says, hey, I aimed it out the window. Don't you remember? To him. So not
Whoa.
only is he trying to coach him to lie on everyone's behalf and make me the asshole again, but they're leaving me on post with the man that just threatened my life.
Oh God. Wow. Well,
Yeah, so that was fun. And then what came of that was I told them that if they fried my boy for smoking, I would take it. I would fuck all y'all and go straight to first sergeant, who
yeah.
it was his first. It was his first infantry deployment. He was an air winger.
Oh, okay.
So he would have listened to a lance corporal.
Yeah.
Like he had more of a running an office kind of mentality where my door's
Right.
always open. So like I was like, I'll take this shit directly to the first sergeant if y'all continue running him up the flagpole for something so stupid. And they were like,
Yeah.
oh, it never happened. What are you talking about? And then
Uh,
because I admitted I made it up or it didn't happen, not one of them would ever admit it was real again.
really?
Which again, that was weird that it bothered me so much, but it did. I'm like, I know I'm not, you're not on recording. I'm not trying to get this out there, but like, right? And they're like, you said you made it up. That's all. Um, and
Oh
then,
my God.
yeah. And then the following day where I'm like, we're nowhere near done with this bitch. We're barely halfway through this deployment at this point.
Yeah.
There's a smear campaign. Things are being written about me on the inside of every post. I learned a bunch of new shit about myself. Apparently, I stand at parade rest for my father. Um, but
Interesting. Interesting.
yeah, so which is funny because I've done that before. He's a militant man. I've done it before. But secrets come out.
It's
That was the
nice.
closest one to real. But so the following day, we're in a freaking briefing, and Lance Corporals can't stand up. If you're a Lance Corporal or beneath, you have to be seated. And then corporals and above can stand up, like in the
Okay.
back or whatever, which is some
Yeah.
dumb kindergarten bullshit, but that's the rules. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting there in the middle of this thing. It's hot as balls.
Yeah.
We're just so
Drenched.
I
Yeah.
couldn't. my head's up, but I'm doing this game.
Yeah.
And I get hit with something, and how about you stand up? And I was like, yep, please, on it. I popped up, and I'm getting sergeant some shit from the wings. I'm like, I knew who said it.
Yeah.
I sergeant. So we get, oh my God, we get out of there, and I'm like, at this point, I don't care. I'm in zombie mode. I'm standing at the right thing when they're coming to me. They start walking up to me. They're 12 feet out, and I'm already like, and there's like, and they get to me and they're like, we know how much sleep you've had this week. We're down 2 guys already. You have to drive this patrol. But the moment we get back, we're going to try to come back early. But the moment we get back, no one's going to mess with you for 9 hours. You're in the rack. And I was just like, I think they're fucking with me. At that point, I was like, uh-huh. Sure. Am I dreaming now? And then that was when the ID happened.
Oh no.
So it ended up being another almost 26 hours before I could hit the rack. But we went on
Holy
patrol
crap.
and the ID happened. It was a blasting cap, ripped the nose cap off of a 155 packed with HME.
Oh God.
So it didn't go off properly. Huzzah. I liked 2 of the guys a lot that were in Vic 1, and the other ones I didn't want them dead. I just wanted them to stub their toes a lot. I hoped they always stepped on Legos or a wet spot every time they put on fresh socks, like not death. But yeah, so we had to so we sit there for the 8 hours until EOD shows up to investigate it. And at no point when that EOD team gets there did the sergeant tell them that not only did he pull the det cord and follow the det cord, which is numbers 1 and 2 of never, ever, ever, ever do. And he let the Turk pour water on it because it was smoldering. And when EOD got there, they didn't say shit. So it looks like it's pouring a liquid. So another 8 hours, they have to call out a nuclear biological chemical EOD team.
No
so
way.
Another 6 to 8 hours later, they show up. We finally back up 3,000 or, a couple clicks and blow it. we get back to the fob and they're just like, so you got to get on post, but as soon as you're done with post, sleepy time. And I was just like, cool. And they were true to their word. I got to sleep. And then
that's ridiculous.
This is hilarious. I haven't said all this out loud in a long time. Good times.
I can't even believe that, and I got a question for you. So do you think that was because a lot of the younger Marines were in charge, or, like Lance Corporals leading Lance Corporals type of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, guys who'd been on, I don't know who, it had to be, I don't know. They all been to Ramadi. They'd all they didn't have a MEU before us. That would have been my thought, was like, you've never done this before. So like as a team, let's figure it out kind of thing.
Right.
But whatever the world calls toxic masculinity and leadership, it was a lot of that. And it was different versions of it. Because again, my squad leader was just a pile of stupid. I didn't know that they stacked stupid that tall. And he was in charge and thought he knew better, which was more dangerous than being stupid. I can handle a dummy who knows he's dumb. That's easy. Yeah. But a dummy that thinks he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. That gets people killed.
And and so one of the things they got mad at me about was we ended up on the week it rained in Iraq. It rains for a week straight in Iraq. And then it's birthday cake mud for another 2 weeks. And I'm the only Southern boy, not a pun on my name. I'm the only one who's from the South who knows how to drive in the fucking mud. God. And they were just, we're going to go real slow across this road and we're going to do this, and that. And I was like, and at this point I've been jumped off the side of a Humvee about my talking back. So I was just like, I real quick was like, we need to go at least 30 over this road. There was literally going to be a foot on each side of the wheel and ditches.
Oh my God.
Birthday cake mud, inches deep. They wanted me to crawl over it.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
and ditch. We go fast, we got a fighting chance. Like, y'all are all stupid. So I was like, we need to go at least 30 to get over this. And they were like, what'd you just say? And I was like, I Lance Corporal, 4 mile an hour. Ditch.
How'd that work out? Ditch?
We got about 8 feet and we were in a ditch, and it was Southern doesn't know how to drive. And I'm the only one, I'm taking apart the cage for the turret to put it under wheels to get traction. I'm the only one doing anything. I'm digging out stuff. So that one was when the complacency. What does complacency do, Southern? I was like, complacency kills, Sergeant. He was mad because how I ended up getting it out, which again, it took hours for them to finally be like, how about we just let Southern do what he thinks he should do? And they were like,
my God.
Okay. So beyond trying to dig it out, I did nothing. I said no words because I'm not going to volunteer. Okay. You're all already blaming me for it being in the ditch. But like, how about we just let him do it? I was like, the only thing that's going to work now without getting a wrecker here is if we floor it into the end, and it'll bump us back out. And the fact that one backwards, there's another big drop off. We're going forwards.
Yeah.
Like, so I had a whole thing from 2 minutes out to 45 when they were finally like, what do you think we should do? And I was like, get out of the truck for a second. And then because I hit it just fast enough that one wheel took a second to get back down, I almost flipped it. I had to figure out what everything weighed. I had to figure out what all the extra gear weighed. I had to figure out what all of us and our gear weighed and add it all together. And that was my punishment for almost killing everybody.
What?
Even though they weren't in the vehicle. Wow. But yeah, again, that was the man leading me through Iraq. But godsend, I got I got a good recovery out of it. So back to the first sergeant. So we ended up becoming the person mixed 3 words together, personal security detachment, PSD, or the battalion, or sorry, company commander. Why is my I'm gonna take a beat because I know these words.
No, you're good.
I about just fucked up like 18 words in a row. Sounds like an idiot.
No, you're fine.
It's all right. So our whole goal for the last 2 months, we were cruising the basically the Syrian border, trying to stop weapons caches. And we ended up, so we were driving the trucks around all day and then coiling up the trucks, digging mortar pits and going to sleep. And it was up in the Mount Sinjar region and Lake Tartar, if you're familiar. Again, right on the Syrian border. We were on it. And we were like, they're aiming at us. And they're like, should I aim at them? And we look at the Blue Force tracker and we're like, no, you shouldn't, because oops, we're in Syria. Like like it happened once. So like, no, Southern, turn around and drive like the Dickens, if you will. So I did. But so during all of that, it was -12 at noon. And I'm a Florida boy who's all right at cold. But we were back to our mortar teams were made PSD. So they split us all up. So I was with mortars and 11s and a bunch of people the whole time getting shit on. And now I'm back with my team, the guys I know from my section, and we're PSD.
Right. Yeah.
So I got one Lance Corporal or Corporal at the time. I can't remember if he made Corporal in Iraq or not. He's probably going to listen to this, so I'm sorry about that, Keith. But good man, for sure. But I was the first sergeant's driver. The fella who was on his first ever one, who did not have the whole "you're all beneath me" and deal like you're all the boots on my feet. So at one point he was like, "Southern, please, Jeff is fine," and I was like, "Fuck!" I almost said "fuck you" to his face. I was like, "I'll call you sir." Like if first sergeant's too much for you, I'll call you sir. Like I'm not letting any of these people hear me call you Jeff. But he was a cool dude. He was laid back. He was unmarried, no kids as a first sergeant. And and he had like a Supra and a brand spanking new F-150, like that he'd
Oh,
drive
dang.
whichever one to work. But yeah, so he was chill. His mother would send him pogey bait and ghee dunk, and he'd share.
Nice. Yeah,
He'd hold the
yeah,
steering wheel while I piss in bottles. I felt like a human again.
yeah.
It was nice, and my dismounts were snipers, so they weren't even my
Oh,
mortar
nice.
boys.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and this, oh God, I love this man, Jeff Todd. I've been avoiding saying names all day, but Jeff Todd, first sergeant type. I don't know if you made Master Garney
Sergeant
sergeant
Major.
or sergeant major. Oh, if it's the first sergeant, it would have been sergeant major. God damn it,
Yeah.
I'm not high, I swear. Um,
It's all good, man.
I don't know if he made sergeant major before he got out, but he's a good man. But whenever we get to the coil part of the day, when they'd
Yeah.
make us dig mortar pits for in frozen ground, like
Yeah.
-12 at noon. He'd get out and do this number. Big old, he was like 6'6", periscope.
Okay.
He just there's a lot of working parties and like bullshit going on right now. I need you to guard this truck and my gear with your life. I first sergeant, so I was literally by order of the second most powerful man in the game told to stay in my truck. Because a buddy of mine told me, I was like, "What do I do? They never fuck with you, like up here." I was like, "What do I do? They hate my fucking guts." And I honestly didn't do a great deal of things wrong. I did a thing wrong, and it just piled on. And he's just like, "Don't talk." I was like, "What?" And he's like, when someone talks to you, you don't shut up. And I'm like, I know that about me, yeah. And he's like, if someone asks you a question, yes, no, or the least amount of words humanly possible, then go back to shutting up. And I thought he was being mean. I thought he was being a dickhead at first. And I was like, you know what? What am I doing for the next 2 months except hoping to get out of this with a few screws tightened back down?
Yeah.
And I got to sit in a truck technically alone for a lot of the day. So fuck it.
Yeah.
I borrow books from people, and I was reading books in my truck, and
Okay.
some dudes got in trouble, and they called us all over their school circle or whatever, rounded up. This guy's falling asleep on post. This guy brought his sleeping bag on post. What the fuck's the matter with you? Gets to me, and I forgot you were fucking here. And then kept yelling at other people. And like two people out of the whole thing didn't get mentioned. And then I was forgotten. And I spun and I didn't say shit. I didn't make a face when he said it. But when we were leaving, I looked over at Green and he gave me a quick little. And I was like, all right. So again, I just faded
Made
into
it.
the mist. I faded out again. I'm like, nope, y'all aren't gonna hear from me till we're back in country.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so when we got back, the fella who replaced me ran a 32-minute 3 mile on
Wow.
our
Okay.
on our uh on our
The
like welcome
PFT.
back PFT, which is
Yeah.
no one's gonna do stellar on it. We were
Yeah.
we were doing fuck games and staying in post and driving a lot. We didn't have downtime to stay super fit, but 28 is the cutoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 18 is the lowest score you can or the highest score you can get.
Yeah.
32, I could have
Yeah.
walked it faster than 32. And because of that, he missed his slot. And someone was like, yo, Southern, you still trying to go? I was like, fuck yeah. So I went to Amlock. I ended up failing out of Amlock. Oops. But I went to Amlock. I failed out on Advanced Fire Direction Center, which is
Okay.
math. For those
Yeah.
listening along, he's
Super
real bad at
math.
math. Yeah. I almost failed out at initial FDC and made it to final FDC, and I just couldn't. And it was funny that day. My buddy who was there with me from my unit was like, "How are you not freaking out right now?" We had a new first sergeant who was supposed to be a hard ass, and we hadn't
Yeah.
met him yet because we were at school. He was like,
Yeah.
"You're about to go meet first sergeant, having failed out of a school. Like, how are you not?" We were at lunch waiting for, and then gonna go back to class. And by the end of day, they were gonna be like, "Yeah, there's no reason." Like, we knew they were sending me back.
Yeah.
Like, it was my second thing, and second, and you're gone. Unless there's an extenuating circumstance, which there wasn't. But he was. So I was like, dude, if I made it through Iraq, I've made it through this. And Green kind of
Yeah.
nodded because Green was the other guy that was there. And my buddy was like, he looked at Green nodding and looked at me like, what? And and then over lunch at Wendy's on Camp
Yeah.
Geiger,
Yeah. Yeah.
all that shit I just told you, and with
Uh-huh.
way more names and actually a few more stories and details.
Yeah.
But and he just sat there in rapture, and by the
Yeah.
end of it was like, bro, what they told me was what I knew. I'm so sorry, because he was one of the people. He didn't shun me, but he didn't come
Yeah.
find me and talk to me
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that was cool. That was honestly
Wow.
vindicating and nice. Where he
Hmm.
was like, I didn't fucking know any of that. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'd have been there. And I'm like, oh yeah, so no, this is fine. He's gonna only yell at me if he's gonna yell at me.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I went back and he's like, so I was like, yes, First Sergeant. And he was like, what's going on? I was like, I failed out of the school, this school, and was told to report to you today, coming back to the unit. And he was like, is this what you do? And and I explained to him, I'm like, very, very bad at math. I tried everything I could. I studied all night with so and so, who's great at
Yeah.
this. He was a 3-year infantry Marine sergeant, the fella I was talking about that I studied with. You make corporal in 3 years, you're going quick.
How did he make it to sergeant in 3 years?
Meritorious sergeant after making corporal very quickly. He made
Wow.
corporal on like his first opportunity, and then he was
Good
in
for
charge of a
him.
platoon. He was
Yeah.
well, he's an amazing guy. Oh my, he's one of the fella my son's named after. He popped
Oh,
in.
okay.
He was 2 credits shy of a double masters from WVU. Okay.
No
I love
kidding.
Yeah. And joined the Marines, enlisted because his
Yeah.
father was a recon Marine in NAM and would have never allowed him to be a commissioned officer. But yeah,
Wow.
so not only did he have common sense, which is, God, I can't believe how uncommon that trait is,
Yeah.
but he shined in a very real way because he already knew how to be an adult, which is one of the
Yeah.
main reasons why Lance Corporals and PFCs and stuff don't shine, is because they're trying their hardest to figure out how to do life and all of
Yeah.
this all at the same time. And
Oh, yeah.
they're giving money, their parents aren't watching them. I'm gonna buy this car for 30% APR. I'm a grown up. Okay.
Yep. You're gonna find out what that's all about.
Yeah.
Being grown up.
So I'm talking with my first sergeant. And the fellow who ran the mortar section already talked to me. He's like, let me guess, you just thought you'd will your way through it, huh? And I was like, negative. I absolutely tried. FDC is not, I could not do it. I am a gun monkey by a lot.
Yeah.
And I promise I gave it my all with my buddy the sergeant who is good at this shit. So I did everything I fucking could. But I whatever. And then he sends me to first sergeant. So what's up? And I tell him, I'm like, this is the first school I went to. Two, I'm very bummed I failed out. That's for sure. I wanted to show myself there and get it on my record and have people know that about me. But I cannot. Math is a very difficult thing for me first sergeant, so on, whatever. And he was like, all right, cool, carry on. And the fact that I wasn't like and like oh I think he respected that, I guess, because
Yeah.
I tried very
Hmm.
hard. Talk to Sergeant so and so, he'll let you know that we were up until 3 a.m. the
Oh,
three
yeah.
nights before the test, trying my damnedest to get my head around this shit. um yeah, if there was anything we could ever implant into my head, I wish it was a general ease with honestly, general arithmetic, like,
Yeah.
would be fantastic. Because yeah, I would just I feel so dumb. I got 11 and a 9-year-old almost, and I'm not ready for the schoolwork to get harder.
Oh no, I understand that
Take it to your mother.
wholeheartedly. Yeah,
Well, and we talked
I
about
get
it
that.
too early on, was I'm gonna take history and English, or like
Yeah.
language arts. And she's gonna take science and math,
Hmm.
by way of parents helping with shit.
Yeah.
Because history don't change and language arts don't change.
Yeah.
Plus, plus, minus, minus, and then wait, and then shortly after that, we're putting letters in it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
fuck out of here.
That's how I feel. Math should not have letters. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, you start putting English in my math, I'm done. The
Hmm.
rest of it you use in your life, unless you go to, like, if you're going to a specific job,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
statistics,
Yeah. Yeah.
analytics, economics. If you're doing something that requires numbers, we talk. He's fine. We go. And at this point, we got new leadership just came in,
Hmm.
and no one really knows who I am or that I'm back from school.
Oh, okay.
So I sharpened my skates for 2 weeks. I just like everything else, just like in the end of Iraq, I was nowhere to be seen. I was at formation when I was supposed to. I wasn't at dental the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like I did the shit I was supposed to do. I did, but I my hand wasn't raised, my voice wasn't heard, which is weird. I'm a loud guy. You hear me a lot. And then the whole crush thing happened where they were like, all right, Afghanistan's definitely happening. It's not, we thought it might be a Mew. Afghanistan's definitely happening. So all mortarmen, you're all officially in 81's platoon until further notice. And God, man, if you haven't called cadence during a 180 man big platoon,
then you haven't called cadence.
Ooh. And it was oh God. And I got goosebumps. Sorry, I miss cadence runs. That everyone's like, what do you miss? Cadence runs. I miss cadence runs. So we're doing it. I'm like 8 rows from the back at this point. The fella that's out calling is a wonderful guy, great Marine, horrible husband. I have receipts. But he had a speech impediment. He could not pronounce R at all.
Oh, wow.
He could also kick himself in the face, which was hysterical. But
that's impressive in itself.
Right? Wham! Forward. But so he's out there. He forgot. He was 2 lines into a good one, a good memorable one that everyone should know. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but he shut up. And we're just chunk down this damn road. He's so quiet. So from the back, I hit him with, there she was, just a walking down the street, and the whole platoon, do-a-dee-dee-dee-dee, and
nice.
I about shit my pants. I went halfway through the song before I realized I didn't know any more of the song. I got him down to, she looked good, she looked fine, I did what I did to make her mine. And then we did one more do-a-diddy, and then old boy was replaced by someone who knew his shit and looked back at me, and I was like, and then they ran with it. And I'm glad I got to do that.
That's pretty cool.
We got in trouble, and my platoon, a regular normal sized one at this point, but we got so hyped up during a Yuma op. They made me be that guy. Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm jumping around like a crazy person.
No, you're good.
No,
I'm enjoying it.
We're in time because Yuma was after Iraq, before Afghanistan. So we're in the right thing. So
we're good.
Yuma, Arizona, mortars. We were one again. I don't need Yuma, Arizona ever again. I bet there's wonderful towns in the state of Arizona, but dear Lord. So we were on a concrete slab for a few days in the Arizona heat. And then they finally got us tents that we put up. The camo things, not anything rigid. And then and we had to drive 5 hours in high back Humvees to just into California to do the mortar shit.
Right.
So we were in the section that did more ops, the last training op. So operating split section, we were doing less shit. And I am not one to be left to my devices. Which is a Marine thing, I guess, probably military in general, but the throwing rocks and the just doing something, figuring out how many you can stack. Everyone who brought books, I read like 6 books.
Oh, wow.
To include the first 2 Twilights. I don't know why they brought 2. And I was pissed that I was like, if I'm doing this and I have the time to do it, I'd rather finish the series so I can laugh at it in its entirety. Read Fight Club though, which is rad. Nice, I enjoyed the book a lot, actually. Anyway, I started PTing. I started going for runs and doing stuff because I just couldn't sit there. And then I did a squad run with day packs, and I took there was a sandwich shop that was miles out of the gate of the thing we were at. So I took orders and money and day packs and went on a weighted pack run with me and 4 or 5 guys, and looking like I'm leading them on something. We're doing orders, getting sandwiches. We're finding Pepsi machines on this stupid ass Air Force base. And we get back and we're sneaking sandwiches and stuff. Some sergeant saw me and was just like, I like that. That's good shit. You're PTing instead of just sitting here. So take the platoon out tomorrow. And I'm like, fuck. So everyone who was enjoying sitting and chilling, oops, they had to run now. So I was like, sorry. Like they all got it. They were like, you know what? Fuck it. Doing this is better than doing nothing. All right, cool. So we would do cadence and we would do the ones that we weren't told there was an officer country. We weren't told there was anywhere where we had to be quiet. So we're one platoon, concrete buildings, and then desert. So Air Force only. Like this section, us. Them over there under the tents living like gorillas, Marines. Everyone else, Air Force. So we started doing the hey Navy. But the insulting version where it was, paper pushing chair force. Roll in your chair and run with me. And when I said paper pushing chair force, I've never been more proud of these motherfuckers. I think y'all might have heard them like from wherever you were. Like it was loud. They were like, "Ooh, we're gonna piss people off, and no one can actually get mad about it." And it was cool because after that they doubled down because we were so motivated. And I'm like, no, just let me keep doing insulting ones. I can get everyone out there. I promise.
Yeah.
We had the same sergeant who was trying to do one of them complicated ones. That if the mass doesn't know it, you're an idiot. Like that's something you do at DI school when everyone in the platoon knows that when you're done saying this, they go chop, slap. They do whatever. It's not just repeat after me. He kept trying to do that shit. Like he was trying to school us on something in the middle of a run. And I was like, bro, the Army doesn't miss you and we aren't excited to have you. So, but and then he got out. That was the best part of that whole thing was he was doing his thing, trying to do. It wasn't delayed cadence. The delayed cadence, and then everyone's doing the which is good when it's done right. Is it Johnny Slicks who does it in the CrossFit box? Have you seen that video? Where there's a guy.
I think it is. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
He's standing on a thing doing it, and the whole room's losing their shit.
Yeah.
I love that shit. Getting hyped. Gotta work out after this. Just off the road. Man,
that's good stuff.
I need a lightsaber. That sound from
very nice.
Anyway, but that was the best part of it was he got out there, tried to do I want to say delayed cadence, but tried to do one that needs schooling to do, and then fumbled it hard, had to fall back in, and I got out and did the hey, and they were louder than loud cut loud, and it was just, I was Lance Corporal, I lived through Iraq, so there was I wanted to look back at him the whole time. Every time they got loud, I wanted to just be like.
How do you like that?
I didn't. I was like, no. He's got little man syndrome. This isn't gonna go well. I can't. He's already probably mad that they're yelling louder for me. This boot's getting you loud. I was like, no, I just know better cadences than you. Yeah. And then all right, so Yuma, we did all the other workups and stuff, CACs and all that. Went to Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. So March 5th. 2010, we deployed to Afghanistan. And I got to stay with 81s. It's awesome. Where I had a wonderful reputation. Where no one asked me if I finished AMLOC, which was pretty cool. They were like, "You went to AMLOC, right?" And I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah.
and not did you show me a certificate? Did you graduate? I didn't lie to nobody. I would have gotten in trouble if they asked for the distinction. I know I would have, but I let a couple people who should probably think I went to AMLOC think I went to AMLOC. Because again, I did. And I know my job inside and out. You're not going to get on the gun faster than me for the most part. Like there's very few. I was in the top guys speed wise on getting the gun up, and I was a gunner. So
yeah.
Ipso facto. Because I was in charge of a gun for a minute when I got to 81s. I had gun 1 for a little while, but we got a sergeant and corporal drop from the school, not TBS, but the guys that teach officer candidate guys, specifically
ITB?
Mortars.
In Quantico. They were at the school. Yeah, they were at the schoolhouse teaching that. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, they're teaching mortars to would-be lieutenants.
Yeah.
So we got 2 sergeants and a corporal. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, Lance Corporal's not going to stay in charge of gun 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But he was an awesome guy. The sergeant that took over was rad. And he trusted my judgment and stuff, which was cool. So we had a good little. I gave him the rundown of the boots and who's good at what, and
Mm-hmm.
who will fuck up what, and whatnot. And then I was his gunner, and we'd run it like we needed to. And anytime someone
Nice.
fucked up enough, they'd send him to gun 1 because I would run them into the ground. Um, we had one guy in the platoon who could run faster for longer than me, but beyond
Yeah.
that, I could run boots into the ground without it being hazing because I was running ahead of them. Like, and they
Yeah.
just weren't
Yeah.
keeping up.
Yeah.
Which was a few boots were probably really excited when my legs got
You
blown
can't
over.
run me in the ground now.
Yeah,
That's
what
what they're
now,
saying.
bitch? Who you running into the ground now? God, I love the humor.
Oh man.
So anyway, so we get March 5th, we leave. Um, we're at Leatherneck for a little while.
Mhm.
It was, and we did the 58-hour convoy again. So
Ooh.
I opted to be a driver for this one too. So we got to be one of the first units, not the very first by any means. One of the very first units to get the MATV.
Oh, okay.
So the moment they were like, we got this new vehicle that is made for this war, V-shaped hull, no
Mm-hmm.
Humvees outside the wire. It has this crazy, you'll look like a purple Smurf fucking fire suppression system. If you look at it wrong, it'll go off. But then they were like, we want drivers. And I was one of the few senior boys who was like, please, I very much enjoy driving. It's where
Yeah.
I feel at home and where my skills were best put to work. And I was Vic
Yeah.
1. When I got back from that, I was Vic 1 for everything. Anytime there was a question, I was running to help with whatever it was with the trucks. Anytime we got stuck, I was digging shit out, doing my thing. Um, yeah. We had a horrible platoon sergeant on that time around. He was
Mm.
lost items and all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
Had
geez.
no respect for us as his Marines. It's like, this is the most
Wow.
disgusting group of gentlemen I've ever seen in my life. I can't wait to get back to this, where the party's at. I'm only here to make mass sergeant and get out of here. This is the most disgusting group of Marines I've ever seen in my life. All you Lance Corporals that think you're going to make corporal while I'm here, I will paper fuck you all. And I was like, cool, let's go to
Uh,
Afghanistan with this guy. And we did. And I had to be his vehicle commander for a little while. Or sorry, driver. He had to be my vehicle commander for a little while.
yeah.
The guy who rides shotgun. For the people listening, of course. But not.
Yeah.
And more than once, I caught him and the lieutenant snoozing
Oh, yeah.
while we're all. And the only other driver in my truck was the turret gunner.
Oh, geez.
So if I wasn't driving, I was on the turret for 58
Uh,
hours. But I was like, I have training and staying awake for almost no reason.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Well
uh,
trained in
and
this.
on the 58-hour one, we were in a long convoy. I was not vehicle 1. And to try to ambush such a convoy would be so stupid. And if we hit
Yeah.
IEDs, it wouldn't have been us by a lot. We were in the middle of like a 20 truck thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was we were leaving Leatherneck to go to where we were going to be, in the South Helmand province,
Right.
which ended up being Salam Bazaar, Musa
Mm-hmm.
Kayla, Nowzad district. There we go.
Okay.
Way south. Poppy Fields rural as shit, clicks between any buildings.
Wow.
And so we get there, we blow up half the bazaar that was already inhabited. Or sorry, uninhabited. That was already uninhabited. We didn't kick anyone out or kill anybody. We blew up half of it, which was fun. As a mortarman, I got to wire some shape charges, which was cool.
Yeah.
Which is a assaultman thing for the people listening. So that was fun. I got to do a little bit of a jack of all trades thing. I have
Yeah.
fired the Mark 19 and the Madus 50 cal.
Mm-hmm.
One of which, or sorry, almost neither in combat situation. But I did shoot 120s, Illum round.
Nice.
So I have fired all 3 60s, 81s, and 120s in
Yeah.
combat, technically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But only one of them was HE, and we weren't actually hitting anything on purpose. But it was pretty cool to be a mortarman on my second deployment and only made it 2 months into that deployment and have fired all 3 of the types of mortars.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like an accomplishment.
Absolutely,
There
man.
you go, buddy. There you go. I need you to be quiet for me. One hand stuff. I got a little whisk.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
you do the and it gets spinning for you because I can't scramble eggs so good. I don't have a wrist anymore.
Yeah.
It's all in the what? Um, so yeah, we get there. We're doing combat arms. We're running shit. I'm a team leader. My sergeant is a dear friend that I went to SOI with, and he was also another 3-year infantry sergeant. I got
Oh, wow.
so my he's named after both of them. His first and middle name are both of their middle names.
Oh, no
Um,
kidding. Wow.
yeah. But in his case, my sergeant, amazing man in general. And again, we're peers. We went to SOI together. So there
Hmm.
was a lot of, he knew what I was about. He knew what I brought to the table and knew
Yeah.
that from the middle to the back of his squad was absolutely taken care of.
Yeah.
And to be trusted that way in that situation, how Iraq went, which again, we
Hmm.
weren't doing big time actual guns going off, bombs, nothing in Iraq.
Hmm.
Um, and it was good. It was refreshing. It was
Very
it
nice.
and so I was doing anything and everything I could possibly do. When we were back at the
Hmm.
thing, I was making sure I was working out and doing a little bit here and there, trying to make sure I was improving only. Like I didn't
Yeah.
want to maintain shit. I wanted to improve only. Um, and I was me and one other guy got recognized as being two of the only guys who ever speak up when
Hmm.
or lance corporals, two of the guys who weren't
Yeah.
technically in charge of anything. I had a team within a squad, but um,
But you guys were the ones that got recognized, which is completely opposite of your Iraq
yeah,
situation.
and and I had a non-recommendation. I had a non-rec
What?
on my file because the man who said he would paper fuck us all did.
Oh, well,
But he's the
very
one who
nice of him.
also just told me that me and this guy are the only two in question. And in my head, I took that as he's gonna lift it maybe, and he's recognizing some shit or stay the course. Like,
Hmm.
because I don't need him to love me. I just need him to not think I'm some piece of shit so he can lift
Right.
this non-rec so I can get on with my career. Um, and we're working, we're doing our job. It's all going well. Getting mortared daily.
Hmm.
But so our battalion commander takes it upon himself to cank all vehicle patrols in our area because we were losing too many trucks.
Hmm.
From order from the MEF commander is
Interesting.
is what he said, quote unquote. Which I found out was bullshit, and I hope he got in trouble for it. It was years after though. So yeah, so
Wow.
plot twist, I ran into General Nicholson, who was the MEF commander at the time
Yeah.
when I was rehabilitating in the hospital. And part of the people under his charge was the 8th Marine Regiment.
Uh-huh.
And he what's going on, Corporal? How's this is and that? I was like, actually, I have a question for you if you don't mind, sir. And he was like, absolutely. I was like, I'm curious. In March to May of 2010, may I ask why you canked all vehicle patrols in Southern Helmand Province? And he looked at me as if he was going to feed me the stars off of his shoulder. And I was, he was like, would you care to elaborate? And I was like, and I immediately threw his ass under the bus. I was like, Lieutenant Colonel, this motherfucker right here who was in charge of 1-2 da 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 said the meth commander said da 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 da, and he all right, and literally just he Jack Nicholson and just kind of have a good one, Corporal. And I was like, you too, sir. Thank you so much for coming out. And he left. He was, oh, dude, he was fuming. I hope someone got some calls. Um,
Oh, I'm sure. I guarantee somebody
yeah,
did.
yeah. And then the guys that were with him were like, "What can we do? Is there anything we, with our command, can do for you?" Which is funny because the answer is usually, "I have no fucking clue what you could do for me." Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even hear him, man. You're good.
he's in my ear, so it sounds loud. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, it's all good.
There you go. There, what can we do for you? And I was like, ooh, a buddy I grew up with from kindergarten on, is in 1-8. And oh yeah, yeah. I gave him a name, and it would be very awesome if he would be able. It'd be cool for me if he could come see me and hang out for, I don't know, maybe a week or so. Like get me some days with my buddy. Would be very, and honest. I wasn't just trying to do anything. It would have been nice for me and my buddy. And then yeah, an hour late, I was like, okay, we'll see. An hour later, my buddy calls me, and I was like, "What's up, dude?" And he's like, "Apparently, I'm about to come see you." I was like, "What?" He's like, "I just got a call from the company commander. Like he didn't send, oh guns,
Down the
go get
chain or
staff
whatever.
sergeant,
Yeah.
go get corporal, go whoever. Yeah, got a call from the company commander and was like, pack your bags, you're officially on leave until this date. You're going to Bethesda." And he was told he had to get in his truck and drive to Bethesda
Oh God.
by order of General Nicholson, the MEF commander.
Wow.
So that was
That's
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah. And then he had man, I'm sorry, I'm skipping the injuries and getting to some of the recovery stuff, but this is a funny story
It's
that
all good.
involves him. While he was there, it was the funniest thing ever. Um he We were out doing stuff. We were just checking out things, and I was
Yeah.
wheeling around. It was great. And I was like, "Boo, we need to go back to Bethesda. We need to go back to where we're going, like the room." "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, this is and that." And I'm like, "No, no, no, just I need to go to the bathroom. We need to go back to the room." And he was like,
Yeah.
"What do you mean?" And I was like, "I can't." I was like, "I can't wipe my own ass at this point, so I'm gonna need
Oh
my
yeah.
dad's help.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the room. I need to go to the bathroom." And he, dude, and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "It would be such an honor to prove to you that I'm the kind of friend that would wipe your ass in a situation where you needed your ass wiped." And I was like, "Okay." And it was that passionate. And I was just like, "Bro, I get where you're coming from and I love it. But like, it seems a whole lot like you just desperately want to wipe my ass." That was great. So anyway, sorry. So May 5th, 2010, backpedaling a while now.
Yeah.
We were told we were given accurate intelligence. At this point, no vehicle patrols were walking. We were
Mm-hmm.
given accurate intelligence. Accurate intelligence.
Yeah.
He does with many air quotes if you're not watching. Well, we'll figure it out in a minute, buddy. That there was up to 6 Taliban high level held up in this compound. And
Right.
and like 8 kilometers out from our patrol base. Let's go. And we get there where we got to get inside this compound. We know that there's 3 buildings inside the compound. We're expecting a firefight. The sergeant took his team around the front side, and the third team leader stayed back to watch our 6. And I led my team around the far side. No one could see at the time. And there were 4 IEDs laced along that side of the building.
Oh wow.
One on the front corner, one in the doorway, and then 2 almost exactly where our cordons would end up. It was set up really well. It was one of the more complex ambushes I've ever seen. And then they didn't
Mm-hmm.
ambush us. But yeah, so we all missed the first one on the corner, or it didn't go off properly, which is actually what I think. And then turkey peeking the doorway, I stepped on the second. 10
Oh,
pounds of
okay.
10 pounds of homemade explosives buried 6 inches straight down. Detonated immediately, relieving me of 3 limbs in right there. And I had the rifle at the ready, so the rifle got jettisoned into my face.
Oh, dang.
The ACOG broke my forehead from about there to there.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And then, but the blast didn't get my head or face. My body took the brunt of it. It's funny
Mm-hmm.
if looking at me and the scars, which I can't
Right.
show you because X-rated, but you can tell I stepped on it with my right foot
Really?
because how the blast would have come up and out.
Mm-hmm.
My right leg has a little bit of like it got a little fillet damage that they put back together, but the
Right.
left was open clean up to my hip.
No kidding. Wow.
So and then how the rifle would have been ripping this arm out of it. The fact that this could get out of the way was the only reason I got a left arm still. And then this one
Yeah.
being a small target, elbows in.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so the so arm gone, hand was a part of the equation still apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Um get me on the I'm on the they hear the pop, they get to me, set up the security cordon, and I'm my corpsman's first combat incident.
Oh, wow.
Before me, he kept the pig alive for 26 hours. Which is bananas. So I'm like, fuck yeah, that's it.
26 hours?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So if for
That's impressive.
listeners, I know PETA don't like it, and I know you're going to be sad about it overall, but it is to save humans. But
Yes.
sickly pigs who are going to die anyways are given very, very, very terrible deaths for the sake of future service members surviving at the hands of their medical professional on the ground. But they will stab, shoot, lacerate a pig. And because skin and organs on a pig are the closest to human ones there are in the animal kingdom.
That's right.
That's why tattoo artists practice on pigskin. But and the corpsman's job after all of his training is, or hers, is to keep the damn pig alive, basically.
Yeah.
Plug it up, get it all good. Then they'll do it again. Once you get a leak closed, they're going to spring another leak in the pig. So yes, deeply unpleasant for the pig, but I am so very grateful for those pigs' sacrifice because yeah, my corpsman, the most hands-on training he had was in a pig, and then me in his lap, and I happened to be the first American triple amputee to survive Afghanistan.
No kidding.
Yep, a Brit beat me by 3 years, the asshole. But and then we had a couple quads before me, so I wasn't like the high score. I just happened to.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, like there was a couple quads before me, but I was the first triple to survive Afghanistan.
Yeah. Wow.
Which I'll take. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a stupid thing to. It's not gonna be on my headstone. It'll probably just be he finally shut up this date. Or they finally finished him off this date.
Oh, jeez. That's funny.
But yeah, so hit boom, ground, cordon, corpsman, brought in a few people, someone held my IV bag, that kind of thing. More hands. When they got, and then the bird was called in by my sergeant. Yeah, 10 minutes blast the bird. Was one of the fastest anyone had heard of too. Because again, he called it in faster than a hiccup. And in 2010, you had to do the missed report as well, which was 4 more lines of information.
Wow.
And a bird that was already en route for torn ligaments in an ankle got rerouted to me. And apparently, if he had to repeat basically anything, that one would not have been the one to get rerouted, and I would have died in their arms.
No kidding.
Yeah, they said I flatlined, or not flatlined. They wouldn't know that, but they said I stopped breathing several times on the ground. When they put me on the stretcher, the sergeant put my right hand on my chest, because I don't know what science can do, and I'll be good and goddamned if it's going to end up on someone's mantle. And I was like, I'm down, man. God. I wish they put it in a jar and let me keep it. After 20 years of faithful service, it'd have been cool to keep it. I was right-handed in real life. So that was fun.
Now, I'm assuming you weren't awake through any of that, right?
I don't recall any of it at all. So the beauty of it, I got a good Control-Alt-Delete, which is rad. But it was the last thing I recall was checking on my boys on post at night. I was the corporal of the guard, checking dudes, making sure everyone's good on post. Which could have been the night of the 4th, could have been the night of the 3rd. I don't know if I lost a day or just, because it happened at almost exactly 5:00 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah, 5:00. I was born at 5:00 p.m. and I got blown to smithereens at 5:00 p.m. Which is kind of fun. Different days, obviously, but on Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. At happy hour on Cinco de Mayo, I got ejected from the game.
I will say it's definitely memorable, and you'll never forget it.
Yeah. I woke up 2 weeks. I woke up 2 weeks later, missing some shit. It was a good party.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know about that, but it was probably eye-opening, right? As you
again closing for a little while there.
Yeah.
So they get me off the ground, get on the bird. The dust off takes me to Bagram and then Bastion. The 2 different hospitals in Afghanistan. At one of them, I think the first one, and I can never remember which one was the first one, but I think it's that. I think it's Bastion, then Bagram. Yeah, I think it's Bastion, Bagram, then Landstuhl. but at Bastion they did the thoracotomy.
Okay.
They had to hack my chest open and clamp my aorta up there and manipulate my heart back into a rhythm.
Wow.
And the nope, I will flip out the chair. The meth sergeant major at the time was in the room.
No kidding.
And he liked to keep a casualty notebook. And when he found out I survived, he made me come to the Pentagon because now he was the sergeant major of the Marine Corps.
Ah.
And he didn't tell me why he wanted to see me. And for about a week, I was like, oh no, like,
what did I do?
Like, either, like, yeah, someone's lying. I didn't do anything good enough to get recognized by you, and I don't think I did anything bad enough to get recognized by you. But this thing, white square, that is my page out of his casualty notebook. Yeah, he gave it to me.
Wow.
He made himself some Xeroxes, which is bananas.
No
but
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when everyone lands on the whole like what's something you like, put a finger down if you ever da 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 da, and you know, winning the who's been through something, I always go with the 17th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps has seen my heart.
I mean, that's pretty wild, that's for sure. Yeah.
Bananas indeed, sir. I was like, who's gonna beat it? So the thoracotomy happened, which I didn't learn how like cardiac surgeons and stuff, civilian doctors are taught to not do that. Because thoracotomies are basically like a 5% success rate, and an emergent thoracotomy is like a -7% success rate. Like, it's you. And I talked to the man who did it, Captain Carlos Rodriguez, United States Navy. He was like, oh no, the second you rolled into the room, I knew we were gonna have to crack you open. It was either you were definitely gonna die or you were probably gonna die. So it ended up being it's the last stone unturned, really, with a trauma situation.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I'll take the odds. I'm doing all right. But
I mean, thank God he was there to do it, you know?
For sure, for sure. That's what damn it, there's one piece that's driving me crazy. One piece of hair is fucking with one eye. I'm sorry, one second. So yeah, he did that there, which again, everyone being on their game that day. My corpsman, my sergeant, the pilots, the in-flight medics, the paramedics on the way to the OR, all the techs in the room, everybody. If one person wasn't on their game that day,
absolutely
dead. And funny about all that too is they took a beat and took a picture of a tattoo because they had to cry about it. And I was like, can we cry about it after I go to another hospital? But again, I didn't die. I have "We the Unloved do the unthinkable for the ungrateful" tattooed on my ribs, and they have to take pictures anyways, like for the records and whatnot. But apparently, the room, I was told, again down the line, someone found me on Facebook and was like, "I worked on you here." The whole room stopped and cried when we saw your tattoo, and I was like, "Was I stable?" Like, like, beep. Oh my God, this tattoo.
Oh man,
pretty fun. But so did that. Yeah. Get to launch stool after the thoracotomy and all the other infections and stuff. Every place should have cut my remaining arm off. All their training said to, but for some reason, all of them just said, let's see what the next hospital can do.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, again, I spoke to someone at every stop at this point.
Yeah.
14 years out, almost 15. And yeah, that was the general consensus, was that. And then launch stool. My family was ready to fly to Germany to be with me in launch stool. And then launch stool decided I was definitely going to die. So they stabilized me and flew me home so that I could die in American soil. Then flew my family to Bethesda, and they got to see me come off of the ambulance bus from Andrews, freaking on Mother's Day that year, the 9th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they got to see what's left of their youngest.
Yeah.
And then I was in a medically induced coma at that point, so that my skull wouldn't fracture in flight. So they had 9 days to get used to me before I woke up, which is kind of
Wow.
godsend too. My mother is a
Yeah.
nurse for 40 years, and my father did 20 in the Navy, but I'm his youngest, so there were parts that he had a harder time than I expected him to, which was kind of
Mm-hmm.
beautiful at the same time. It was cool realizing he's a human.
Yeah.
My dad's got that real old
Yeah.
school thing. His parents both died when he was very, very young, within a year of each
Mm-hmm.
other.
Oh.
And a heart attack and a stroke, and the middle child,
Whoa.
and he had to help raise. There were six of them, and
Yeah.
he was
Oh,
in the middle
wow.
there. And then yeah, right out of high school, went in the Navy in '76, and hell, by the time he was done in '97, his service record book was thinner than my dental.
Really?
Never got in trouble for nothing.
Wow.
Machinist mate, and then 11 years as a recruiter. But but my
11 years as a recruiter. Good for him,
he can
man.
sell rubbers to a monk, that man. Um, but he also was not one to give him the bullshit neither. He hates the recruiter game or the recruiter stereotype. Where
Yeah.
like, because to when I went in the Marines and I went ground option, he went up there and threatened to kill the master sergeant because he assumed they swindled me and gave
Oh,
me
really?
and gave me ground option, because we had I was 17. They
Yeah.
signed everything under helicopter flight crew
Oh, no.
because I was going to be a helicopter crew chief. And
Yeah.
then, oops, he's colorblind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it does say that you have to pass the PIP or the phalant test. The PIP is the dots. And
Yeah.
fuck all of you. Anyone who can see a number in that, I still think you're all fucking with me. I think it's a big old let's fuck with
It's
ties
a
some more. Like my
it's
life
a
hasn't
myth.
already been that. We're just like,
Yeah.
what's the number? And I'm like, what number? Oh, what number? What number? And what's the number? I'm like, are you fucking with me? Like, I would get, yeah. I'm like, it's fucking dots, and none of them make a shape, let alone a number. Fuck you. Um,
Oh, jeez.
but the phalant test, the one with the lights, I
Uh-huh.
passed that with flying colors, 100.
Oh,
And the
wow.
the official paperwork says pass the PIP or the phalant test,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't give a fuck. I failed the PIP so hard that they were like, "Fuck you." And
Oh, wow.
I was like, ground option is rad. I want to do that. That sounds good. And no one muscled me into it. I wanted to do it, but I changed it without my parents' permission,
Mm-hmm.
and without their knowledge. So when they found out that the contracts that they signed now said a whole different thing that put me in harm's way more, they were furious. But I ended up getting the people don't know about it $3,000 signing bonus because the Marine Corps won't tell you about it unless apparently your father goes and threatens to kill the master sergeant on deck. Because he's like, I did this
Hey.
for 11 years. This isn't some Papa Bear thing. Like,
Yeah.
you fucked my son, and he was like, no. Good times. But anyway,
Oh,
so
man.
but yeah, my whole family was there. I woke up to my mother explaining to me what happened. You were in an
Oh,
accident, you
wow.
don't have your legs anymore or your arm, and your other one's pretty messed up. I asked her what movie we were gonna watch because there was a stack of movies right behind her. I'm like, that sucks. And lots of drugs were involved, so a lot of the beginning was really hard to differentiate what was a dream and what was
Right.
reality. For almost the
Mm-hmm.
first, what feels like the first week, it could have been a day or two. I didn't know which was awake and which was sleeping
Right.
because I have no recollection of having been hurt. So beeping and booping and laying in a bed, unable to move, that's a fucking nightmare. And when I'm
Yeah.
asleep, I'm having dreams of Afghanistan because that's where I was for 2 months doing work, and it was
Right.
fully occupying my brain for 2 months. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
the 8 months prior. So it took a minute to separate. And again, the drugs had played a huge role in that. But I'm thankful for the military because they pack you full of everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't love that I was addicted to methadone for a little bit there, but I'm
Yeah.
glad I didn't wake up in. I could have been in far more pain and discomfort than I
Oh,
was.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for
But
sure.
so the beginning was very fucking foggy. And then the moment they told me I could wean off of everything, I did. And I don't recommend going through withdrawals. That
Yeah.
shit fucking sucks. I was on 30 milligrams of methadone a day.
Oh, my
Um,
God.
yeah. And
Ooh.
then I backed it off right. I didn't cold turkey that shit. I'm not super dumb. But yeah, five
But still,
milligrams
you have
every.
withdrawals from it, though.
Oh yeah, 5 milligrams every so often, whatever, until we from 5 to 0 was the hardest thing. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
I hung my head off the side of bed and puked for a week straight. I got down less than 98 pounds.
Wow.
Like I couldn't eat half of a Burger King chicken nugget. My stomach had shrunk so much. I was full of
No
shit off
kidding.
a half a nugget. The external fixator that they put on my arm, it's like an erector
Uh-huh.
set when you can't have a cast. They bolt
Right.
things to hold your body in place. You
Right.
see them on legs more often that are in an elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And the screws in my hand had backed off. So I woke up and my hand was going this way. On when I
Whoa.
finally felt better, my hand was just and I was like, "Hey, we got to go to the hospital." And I don't know what I was thinking, but I put it back into place and put the screws back in the holes in my hand.
You did it on your own?
I put them in the existing holes, not drilled it back in or anything, but
Right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
lined
yeah.
it back up and put because I thought leaving my hand down was worse than how bad and awful this is about to feel. So
Yeah.
I put the screws back in, which was
Oh, geez.
so they're sitting in the skin, not in the bone. Fucking
Yeah.
moron in the grand scheme because we have to get in the truck and drive for 5 miles
Oh,
to get to the place where I need to be. So I should
yeah.
have just let the bitch dangle in the most comfortable position possible. But I'm sitting there. A truck can't
Bumping.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, a truck can't not. And we're in old DC.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
pothole, pothole, pothole,
Everywhere.
pothole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just a stupid road. Like, they're not, yeah, they're all dumb. But so yeah, and we get all the screws backed out. I had a splint from that point on. They undid them without any locals or anything,
Oof.
which was a lot of fun because again, the man who rebuilt my arm from the elbow down was like he was squirming in the background while the tech is unscrewing these things. And I'm like, bro, you've had your fingers in my person. Like you're stop. I'm I'm just sitting there. I'm doing all this while I'm feeling the the
Yeah.
the threads coming out of my bone.
Oh,
Um,
my God.
but yeah, sorry, I've jumped around like 6 times. So we get to the
That's
hospital. The,
okay.
the plan is to die, and their plan is to make me as comfortable as possible till I die. And I just
Right.
didn't, like an asshole. And then from there, waking up, I was under. I on the 18th, I woke up of May, and again, the first couple weeks are real foggy and hazy and figuring out what's what.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically my default was be as upbeat as I can, just ask questions, don't be sad about it, at least right now until you understand more,
Mm-hmm.
and be as polite as you can to anyone who's helping you with anything. Was basically my game plan from when I woke up because
Yeah.
I had it in my head that these people wouldn't be here doing this if I wasn't here, having been hurt.
Yeah.
Because and apparently I was one of the few polite patients, which is super
Mm-hmm.
weird. I found that odd. But I wasn't gonna stop doing that. You're one of the sorry,
What?
man. They're all trying to get used to their new normal, so they're all angry. And I'm like, how is that your fault? If anything, you're only helping.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But
But
you seem to have a very positive attitude and from the get-go, right? Like
yeah,
throughout all the stuff in Iraq, throughout all the stuff on the deployments area. I mean, you're always positive anyway. So just a positive guy, and
these
which
are the facts.
I think helped you,
Hmm.
once that happened, especially with the doctors and stuff. So
And it's worse now. Everyone's always like, "Is this how you were when you were a real person?" And I'm like, "Oh God, it's so much worse now." Because I was 20. I was positive for reasons that didn't matter when I was 20. Young and dumb and full of cum. That's why I'm happy when I'm 20. I'm 35, two kids. I made it through
yeah.
something I shouldn't have made it through.
Uh-huh.
I have so many reasons to be happy now. 13 men didn't make it back from that deployment.
Mm,
What an
yeah.
insult. I was a hiccup away from being on that list,
Yeah.
and I would have been number one on that list. I'd have
Oh,
been the first
wow.
off. But uh, yeah, what an insult to them and the
Yeah.
sacrifice they made to be sitting in a corner crying.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
had a,
that's
I had
true.
a. Everyone's always like, you couldn't have been. I know you couldn't have been smiling the whole time. I'm like, there was a day or two. There was one instance where I was like, why'd this happen to me in front of my father and mother for about 10 minutes? And that was unpleasant.
Yeah.
And I felt it was weird. I felt it didn't feel like me. I remember being
Hmm.
kind of disgusted with like the question and how I was
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, if anything, it happened to you because you can handle it. If you
Mm,
line up the 13 people that were on that foot patrol, blow
Yeah.
me up twice, please. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take it. It's fine. Not that none of them could have, but I was confident, or again, I didn't step on purpose, but I was confident in my
Yeah.
ability to handle this shit from kind of the get. July 4th, 2010 was a bad day.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
so I had surgery that morning. I had a really amazing dream that night. One of those like wake up mad that you're not back asleep. And we were playing
Yeah.
sandlot football. Um, I felt the jeans. I felt my leg pull through the jeans. I was running. I felt the burning in my legs and I caught it and no one was close. And I woke up sad because I was sprinting and having a good
Mm-hmm.
time, feeling the dirt between my bare feet and about to win the damn game for everybody. I remember the dream like it was yesterday for some reason. Stupid. But woke up in kind of a mood. And then it
Yeah.
was just a washout day. But I had to go under. I had surgery that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a panic attack right before the surgery before they give me the pregame cocktail room.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I've never had one of those before. I've just seen movies. So I was like, ma. And she hurried up and got like an MSC, the puke dish thing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then once I was done with that, she held me and told me match her breaths. So that I distinctly remember trying to focus on the rise and fall of her chest and
Yeah.
do that. Just do what she's doing.
Yeah. 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 I
And
mean, it's
then
a great thing your mom's a nurse
oh,
too,
dude, yeah.
to be able
Oh
to do that.
no,
Yeah.
my mother. She failed at one task, and I'm glad she did. Um, but the rest of it, she's the reason I have an arm.
No kidding.
The head of orthopedics was like, we got to cut it off. The infection's too great. And she's like, his fingers are pink. His fingers are healthy. Washouts. Let's go. I give you no permissions to do so. And he was like, well, when he
Wow.
dies, it's your fault. And the head of orthopedics wrote me off, and was ready to blame my mother for my death. And the head of plastic surgery took over. Which
No
again,
kidding.
he'd
Wow.
been deployed a bunch, so trauma is
Yeah.
his game. But he was the head of plastic surgery, and rebuilt me from the elbow down. He's like, I got this shit. He had the most amazing butt chin in all the land, and he's one of two people that graduated from the Naval Academy that I like. Um, but
That's
I had him
funny.
sign his good work. I don't know if you, but right here is his
Yeah.
signature. I got his signature tattooed on my arm.
That's cool. I like
um,
that.
and he was the only doctor who was like, buddy's not the right word, but
Mm-hmm.
they were all stuffy and doctory and
Oh,
studious
yeah.
and he'd come sit on the foot of the bed and be like, you're not using this part, are you? You'd be like, nope. Um, and he'd talk to me from there. He's a short man. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, he'd just sit there and talk with you and like your boys, like your peers. And it was good. And, I always had root beer barrels on tap. Cause a cousin would send me bags of them. And
Oh, nice.
I like root beer barrel. And I'd offer them to everybody. I would say
Yeah.
my last name's not just Southern. But and he was the only person ever. He'd be like, hell yeah. And he'd grab like a fistful and put him in one of the out pockets on his big white coat. And I was like, fuck yeah, man. He get a damn claw game fist. And be like, fuck, appreciate it, brother. I'm like, man, thank you. Semper Fortis, go get him. um yeah, no, the only one my mom lost, she's the reason that the donor sites for skin grafts,
Uh-huh.
I have multiple,
Right.
obviously, were taken from my legs and not my back and my ass and my belly.
Yeah.
The
Huh.
most clear skin is what they go for. So they were going to take it off my
Yeah.
back and my belly. And fuck you. There's a lot of usable skin on his leg. Go for it. And so like they did like a half one here, a quarter one there, a long one from my hip to the end of my leg. Like I have funny stripes on my legs,
Yeah.
but they're not along my belly, which one, the heel from the donor sites was fucking hard. They got
Oh, I
infected a bunch
imagine
of
so.
times.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, which is stupid. That part where they have to shave some skin off to fix other shit that things
Yeah.
got blown off of. And then for some reason, the donor sites were something that were one of the hardest heals I had. I bit through a leather
No
bite,
kidding. Oh,
because
wow.
they had to debride it twice when it
Mm.
was very surface infected. So
Yeah.
the pain was far more intense just because of the infection. And they had to debride it, which if it wasn't a wire brush, or steel wool. I don't really know what they were using, but I bit through a leather bite,
Oh my God.
which that was fun. Yeah, no, blow me up again. Please don't ever do a donor site situation again. I'm good. I can get stabbed. I
Jeez.
can get stabbed or burned again too. Don't shoot me, and please don't do a donor site thing again. That shit sucked. But the crushing my right anterior sinus,
Mm-hmm.
she wanted them to go in through the existing wound and fix everything.
Right.
And they wouldn't. They cited all these other things and wouldn't do it. And so I have a rainbow scar. I have a big fucker that goes almost ear to
Yeah.
ear over the top of my head because they had to Hannibal Lecter my face to fix my forehead.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
there was a surgery that I wish I had fucking pictures of, it'd be that
Would
one.
be that.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that'd be cool. I have pictures from surgeries, but a lot of them are just like, oh my God, my balls are swollen to the size of a fucking cantaloupe. And how was I able to still have children? And they're like, that's natural. It's what it does. And I'm like, sweet, good job, balls. Um, no one told me that until I had a cannonball between my legs that with a catheter tube going in a hole in the top of it because it was so
God.
swollen I didn't have a dong anymore. And they're just
Oh,
like, oh no,
jeez.
blast injuries. Everything's jostled about, so it just fills it up with fluid so that everything can, if it's not hurt, it's to protect it. If it is hurt, it's to protect it while it heals. And I was like, cool. Are they
Huh.
good? And they're like, no earthly clue. We have to wait until they're less Elephant Man ish. Um,
Holy cow.
but yeah, they work. So yeah, I would say people are always like, strangers will ask me if my junk works still, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, I was hurt in 2010. I have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. If you
So
want to,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not that bad at math, but and they both look dramatically like me, especially the lady. I was
Uh,
involved AF. Um, but so July 4th. So I wake up from the surgery. I'm in
mhm.
God. It was worse recovery than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
And because I went under most days, and I think they were like, let's make sure he stays out. Let's, a little extra on the anesthetic. But because I went down
Right.
every day, I was coming out of the anesthetic harder and harder. Apparently, I was a
Mm.
violent boy. I spit a lot. I swung my external fixator at people. I found people individually to apologize for this. And they're just like, we know for a fact it's not you. And I'm like, thank you so much for saying that. Because apparently there
Yeah.
wasn't a wall in recovery or the OR that I had not hocked a giant loogie upon.
Really?
Because once they uninhibate you, you got that Skittle shit where you can
Yeah.
yeah, apparently that was my move.
Oh, wow. So you get upset and you just
How
like,
embarrassing.
"Hooey." Yeah.
Spit and hopefully not at people. I hope I wasn't aiming for humans, but like I don't know, my animal hindbrain likes to spit at people and hit them with my club, but I don't like that. That made me bummed. I was very excited to go
Yeah.
apologize to people about that one. But when I woke up and got back to my room and everything should have been fine, it was like 2 or 3 or something.
Hmm.
I was told I wouldn't be able to be put in a wheelchair and go outside to see the fireworks.
Oh, wow.
And I basically decided that day that independence would never be mine again. And it was one of those like it was on Independence Day. I decided that
Yeah.
like, well, I'm done. This is horseshit.
Hmm.
And then literally the following morning, I washed my hand of that bullshit and was like, ugh, that felt weird. Let's
Yeah.
never do that again. But yeah, those were it. There was a conversation with my parents that I broke down a little, and I wanted my dad to leave because I didn't want him to see me like that because I was embarrassed. And he
Hmm.
chose to stay in the room to show me that it's not anything to be embarrassed about. But it's funny in
Yeah.
retrospect, I still wish that he at least like went right there. But I'm not mad at him for that, of course. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was it. That was as far like and earnestly, that is the worst day I had. And the rest were
Yeah.
all just felt defeated about this task today or whatever else. It
Hmm.
was normal adult shit in the grand scheme. The things that I get like because I have my lows where
Yeah. Everybody
I
does.
don't have a
Yeah.
bunch of energy today. I don't got it in me to work out today. Shit, I don't even want to
Hmm.
play video games today, or I just want to play video games all day. Like,
Yeah.
you get down sometimes. You can't be up all the time. That's not how it works. Ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it almost has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with my injuries. It's
Hmm.
normal adult shit.
Yeah.
And I'm running it solo right now. Got 2 kids half the time.
Mm-hmm.
But so recovery ended up being 2.5 years total.
Wow.
Because I was limb salvage, they had to rebuild my arm from the elbow down.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't actually fuse my wrist until the first anniversary of. So I was in a cast and shit, or a splint that I could remove and wash and stuff. With a floppy ass hand and no, like my hand only connected by skin, tissue, and tendons. Um,
Wow.
and a splint.
Mm-hmm.
For the better part of a year. And then on May 5th, 2011, we fused it. Bolted my hand directly to my radius. But we
Right.
did it in a fashion that if they come out with some cool wrist joint thing, it can be removed and undone or whatever.
Oh, and they could put the other part
Yeah, so
back in or whatever the new part is.
because if you do it another way, there's nothing you
It's
can
like
do.
permanent.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're fused up, dog. Deal with it. So that's
Yeah. Yeah.
that. Yeah. So I was hopeful at the notion, but now I handle everything well enough that it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
If I did this at the very last second, life would have been much better. Because two arms that work in this game,
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
easy. Give me one. If I did a Freddie Mercury right at the last second,
Yeah.
and I had one fully completely good arm, woo, you unstoppable.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh man.
but yeah, so I for a while the plan was to reenlist, and still try to do my 30. And there was jokes about trying to be the first amputee who was the sergeant major of the Marine Corps. Um, and
Hmm.
then, but the only jobs they had for me were HR, recruiting, and there was another one but they were all desk jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
with recruiting, I'm gonna be kept in a closet or at like main base. Like they're gonna like
Yeah.
moms and dads of America see me and be
Yeah.
like, "Doesn't
Yeah.
your kid want to join the Marines? The Marines choose you." Yeah, no, this could happen to your kid. Yeah, no, hide me somewhere.
Yeah.
But I just think backpedaling hard. After I
Uh-huh.
got hurt, Gunny lifted the non-rec. So
After you got hurt. Yeah.
I picked up June 1. I got
No
hit.
kidding.
I got hit May 5th and picked up June 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got promoted. Well, you weren't really
I was sort of
I
with
guess two. Yeah, yeah.
I
That's
hadn't
what I
even
was
had a
gonna say. Yeah.
haircut yet. I couldn't put clothes on at all. I had tubes I had chest tubes still. It's a beautiful
Wow.
thing we ended up doing, and it sucks because there's two reasons why the pinning kind of sucked. But um yeah, so I had to give up legs and an arm for corporal, literally. Uh,
I don't want to hear
until
anybody else out there complain.
until he literally, oh shit, he got blown to smithereens. I should probably take this don't promote him off his paperwork. Um, so
That's
when I was still
wild.
really, really out of it,
Uh-huh.
the commandant, James T. Conway, general type, such a
Yeah.
cool, badass, tall ass warrior of a man. I love him to death.
Mm-hmm.
We got a good rapport after everything. His wife is also a pot of coffee and a kilo of cocaine. I've never met anybody. She probably ran the Marine Corps in not a he's a bitch way, just a who she is. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm high energy. She was me and Steve Irwin, but like Hulk style. She made no sense to me, basically. She'd make Steve Irwin look like Ben Stein. Not kidding.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, not hyperbolic in the least. But so
Oh
he
man.
came as the commandant. I got hurt in the December of his tour. He was almost
Mm-hmm.
done being the commandant.
Right.
And I told him to go fuck himself and get out of my room, apparently.
Really?
Plot twist. My unit got word that this happened faster than they got word that I survived.
What?
So I was awake and out of the coma before they found out I made it.
Oh my
So
God.
a little over 2 weeks before they found out I made it. And then
Wow.
within a week, they knew about the Conway thing because they had the sat phone. They'd call sometimes, and I'd get a chance to
Yeah.
talk to my boys on the ground. How cool is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
But yeah, they some shit talking shit about General Conway. I was like, yeah. So what ended up happening though, the first couple of days, the first week or so, my eyes were like a cannon. or sorry, like a camera with
Yeah.
where if it was, it took me a minute to and focus
Hmm.
on things if it was at a different depth than it was a second ago. So I'm
Right.
talking to my mother, who's right at the side of my bed talking to me, and
Hmm.
the commandant is here to see you, and da da da. And I was like, well, tell him to go fuck himself, was my line. And she went a ghostly white because she was with my father for 10 years of his naval career. She knows who this man is to the
Yeah.
Marine Corps. She's not indifferent to his position. He's the president of the whole goddamn Marine Corps. But he was feet behind her.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so I literally was like, and, and he drew circles in the sand and left my room. Because he knew we were on every drug imaginable. I got a
Yeah.
private tour of his house a month later. Like we're and they got us tickets to a Saints Ravens game, and I had to pretend I was just a Marine and not a Ravens fan because they're diehard Saints fans. Like, so I was wearing purple shit under my Marine Corps hoodie. Like, 'cause we're at M&T Stadium. Like, I don't own Saint shit. I'm sorry. I'm part Cajun, but my father was born and raised in Baltimore. We love the Ravens. So that was
Oh
funny.
man.
The pictures are hilarious. We're at I almost said major league football game. We're at an NFL football game, and we're on the sidelines, and no
Yeah.
one, me, my then wife, and a buddy that's with us, no one's wearing purple or black or gold or anything that is denotes which team they might be going for. We're all in. I am in this branch of service. And when we were done meeting Sean Payton and hanging out with General Conway and
Yeah.
meeting Ray Lewis real quick,
Yeah.
it was cool. He gave me a football and kissed me on the top of the head, which I thought was weirder. I thought he was going to tackle me, which I wanted, because how many non-football players have been tackled by Ray Lewis and made it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
statistically, I'm going to survive.
That's a good
But
point. Yeah.
when we got up to the box and just purple, like go Ray Vans. And we won that game, which is fun. But it was super cool. But yeah, so the pinning, that was why I started telling that story. He was gonna
Yeah.
give me my Purple Heart and pin me corporal.
Oh wow.
And that would have been the coolest fucking thing ever. To get my
Yeah.
Purple
Yeah.
Heart
Yeah.
from him, which one, not only is he the commandant, but I
Hmm.
respect him greatly as
Hmm.
just a Marine in general. I'd have followed that man anywhere. Not to say anything of his fucking replacement. But the Sergeant Major of that next run was the best of the best of the best. He see my heart. We got that to see my heart. But but yeah, so he left and did his thing. You know, he was like, all right, he doesn't want to see me. That's fine, no big deal, and didn't hold it against me. Thank God.
Yeah, that's
Um,
really cool.
and then the following week, I was far more with it. My brother, who Army, and my father they laid a blouse on me in the bed and
Hmm.
pinned the blouse and had the colonel of the liaison staff, who again is a wonderful man, read the warrant and do all the stuff. The sergeant of the liaison staff was there too. It was good. But
Yeah.
yeah, it would have been super cool if I didn't mess that up for myself.
Well, you may not have even remembered it if had it
I
happened then, right?
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say, yeah, there's pictures and I remember the other one. It's still vague.
yeah.
Again, lots of drugs there in the beginning. There was one
Yeah.
nurse
Yeah,
who
for
had
sure.
beautiful hot pink Crocs. I remember those Crocs. But yeah, so 2.5 years. Decided I wasn't going to reenlist because it was all desk jobs, and if you don't love your
Hmm.
job, you're not going to advance.
Yeah.
My cutting score was very high, so I would have made sergeant immediately after lat moving.
Hmm.
But I'd have stayed a sergeant or a staff sergeant for until I was either
Right.
muscled out or decided to leave.
Right.
So I decided to not. And then a month or so after I retired, which would September 2012,
Hmm.
where Sergeant Major Barrett actually spoke at my retirement,
Yeah.
which was bananas. He was he told the story, me rolling in blood and guts,
Yeah.
and he kept saying to the Mrs. Southerns in the front row, my mother and then wife, I was like, I have other things I can say if you need me not to say these things. And she was my mom. It's okay. And I thought that was super cool that he was
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he was just like, we're gonna talk about blood and guts and all that, and but if you don't like it, I got backups.
Yeah. We can adjust fire. Yeah.
But yeah, what an honor. Yeah, the 17th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps spoke at my retirement ceremony. And while we were at Walter Reed at Bethesda, they did an adapted corporal's course. And
Okay.
I got the Gung Ho Award for the first ever adapted corporal's course.
Nice. Nice.
Color you shocked? Like, wait, you're motivated and positive? Those things don't go together. Oh wait. I crushed that class. That he kept every time he had to call on somebody, it was never me because I was quick to answer everything. And they're like, "Man, you learned a lot from people who didn't lead you properly." And I was like, "Well, what else are you supposed to do from bad leaders? You're not supposed to adopt their shit. You're supposed to do the opposite or adjust it. If your father drank a lot and beat the shit out of you, you're probably not going to drink and put your hands on your kids." Like,
yeah.
Or you're going to turn around and do it. And I hope that it was the A. I hope it was the first one. Yeah, it ran in the family till it ran into me.
Oh man, that's awesome, man.
But yeah, so after service, it was a couple of charities along the way, one of which doesn't exist anymore because of some bullshit. And then now we me and some dear friends got together and made a clothing company, and we're out here trying to raising two kids half the time, and then the other half trying our best to make sure people going through some shit know that they're not going through it alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
SFH, still fucking here clothing brand. We're not specifically for veterans by any stretch of the imagination. Warriors and fighters and survivors, cancer, abuse, addiction, anybody who's been through some shit. If you're alive today, you're stronger than every bad day you've ever had.
Oh,
and then two,
I like that.
And two, there's no way in fuck you've made it this far without being through some shit.
Yeah.
So you're a warrior, you're a fighter, you are still fucking here. And 50% of our net proceeds will always go to charity. And the charity in question always changes. So if we are attached at an event, it'll go to whichever event is hosting us. And eventually we're 3 years in, but eventually we hope to have a big stable of very well vetted charities that everyone can just, SFH approves of them. I trust them.
Oh yeah.
I know that our money is going to go to helping, because X, Y, and Z. And we got our foot in the door with a couple different human trafficking organizations right now. Several veterans people found us immediately. Veterans found us fast because two of the owners are veterans, me and Lance. Of the five are veterans. And veteran people are always quick to go to things like that anyways. But we're working on a couple different cancer ones, and sister care might be the one. There's one that gets women out of bad situations, witness protection style, like sets them up somewhere with like some funds and protection and stuff. And that's awesome.
Very nice.
Helps pull them literally out of shitty situations. Which is insane. And like those kind of people, that's the best part of this whole life besides my children and being privileged enough to be here to raise them.
Right.
That I've had the opportunity to meet some of the most amazing fucking people with giant fucking hearts who were just either something affected them closely, someone they know closely, or they saw a need. They saw a vacuum. They saw a hole and they said, no more. I'm going to fill that hole. Like, I'm going to fill that vacuum. I will get me, these three, and we're going to fucking handle it. You don't got to worry about that anymore. And I can't count. Saying I can't count them on one hand's not a thing for me. I wouldn't be able to count them all. I promise.
Yeah.
That's not impressive. 3.5. I've met 3.5 amazing people. How bad is he at math? He loses count at 3.5.
Yeah. That's ridiculous, man. That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong in that. Man, I thank you for coming on here and telling your story. You are amazing to me just with your positive attitude. Seriously, it's awesome, man. And I'm sure anybody that listens to it is going to be very impressed. And I encourage SFH, go out, buy some gear.
Oh yeah, sorry. wearesfh.com is where you'll find more information on us and the store. And then all of our social media is also We Are SFH, all the way down to TikTok.
Very nice.
And
And
then
you guys are going to come on.
I'm McNubs13 on TikTok and Instagram, if anyone wants to find me.
What is it? McNubs13?
MCNUBS13. McNubs.
Nice. Okay. I'll have to check that out for sure.
Come on down.
McNubs13. But you guys are coming on as a group.
Team, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to do that on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. So,
and I won't have kids. Good. They'll be at mom's house.
Very nice.
Right. And you won't have to waste airtime talking about me. You already know all the stuff.
Yeah. No, this is perfect. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for doing your thing. And I always close the show out talking about veteran suicide. It's always a drastic thing when that happens. But to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, you need help, don't forget the VA does have some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. I know Ty cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help.
You trusted us to watch your back in a foreign land when everyone else wanted you dead. Why don't you trust me here?
Dang, I can't say that.
If you are hurting, if you were pinned behind a brick wall taking fire and you had a radio and a box of ammo, you're not going to unload your weapon first. You're going to call for backup and get people coming to your paws. So why on earth do you think that is not the move stateside? You think I'm worried about driving to Georgia to stay with you all night? I don't give a fuck. Sorry. Reach out. If you're going through it, reach out. I hope that the amount of teeth I still have, despite the amount of limbs I still have, will motivate and inspire you to push through whatever it is. But if it is sucking, get the help you need. It is not about being weak. Sometimes it's stronger just to put the shit down.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got this, and we need y'all around. We needed you then. We need you now. Reach out if you got problems.
Absolutely. Amen.
Sorry.
Man,
I was saying,
it. Anyway, so one last time, Ty, man, thanks for coming on and doing this.
Thank you.
I'm excited about Thursday. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated. Change your thoughts.